I'm sure many of you have seen the 100 days in hardcore Minecraft trend, and even though I'm a few years late, I've spent the last month working really hard on this video, so please give it a chance. This is also my first time playing vanilla survival Minecraft in probably 5 years, so don't expect too much. Welcome to day 1. First thing to do, spawn in a forest and immediately start to do a little exploring. Then, broke my first tree. Decided I needed to create some weapons just to be safe. And then I immediately introduced my weapon to a cow, and then a beehive, which didn't go so well. After running away terrified to die on the first day, I decided that I wasn't happy with the wooden tools. Introduced my upgraded tools to my cousins, and then some cows. Crafted a furnace. Gotta start cooking food. Gathered some sugarcane. Then I met Byron, who I thought was cute, so I decided to keep him. Then, for the first time, I went to bed. Day 2 began with more sugarcane and more ferni. Said bye to Byron for the last time. Established dominance over the cows. And then went mining for the first time. Got some coal, got some iron. Back to sugarcane collecting. Now, off of day 2, on to day 3. Made our first armor with the iron we got from mining. Messed with some phantom gravel. And decided to collect some stone. I considered living here, but decided against it. More sugarcane. Day 4 was eventful. Saw a skeleton spawner for the first time. Engaged in my first epic PvP battle, and won. And my first MLG. More iron. More MLGs. And more sugarcane. And found some spruce, which I knew would come in handy later. Then, finally decided on a place to build my house, and decided that I wanted to do a hanging house. I had to flatten out a wall, though, to make it more even. Made a little camp just for the time being. Had to remake my tools, and continue excavating. Day 4 and 5 were mostly spent working on the flattening. Day 5 through 8, I built the house. Let me know in the comments if you like the replays, or if you would prefer to see everything first person. Gathering the materials and building a survival took so long, but I think the footage turned out really well. And we finished on day 9. Caught the water just barely. Had to get some orange dye to make some glass panes for my windows. A benefit of it being on the side of the mountain is that there are no monsters that can get to me. Practice my MLGs. And I went to get more spruce from the forest I found earlier so I can completely finish my new house. Spruce is undeniably the most useful wood for building, so I made sure to grab some saplings for the future. Day 11 was getting dark. Up until this point, I was still pretty scared of all the monsters, just trying to avoid them. But with my new armor, I decided I was probably safe to take some fights. Day 12, we did some terraforming, and created another portal on day 13. Then, after parkouring to my hanging house one too many times, I decided that it would probably be safer if I just made it into the wall instead. And did some more terraforming down below. Here's when I really started to try to set up a grander base to be protected and try to get some more stuff done. Day 16 was when I finally went mining for real to try to get some diamonds. And had my first real battle. And found my first diamonds. Wasn't worried at all. And then I realized diamonds were much easier to find in this update than they used to be. Almost died to didn't almost die to a baby zombie. Not even close. More diamonds. And then return to the surface with a nice 29 diamonds. First things first, gotta get an enchant table on day 20. Basically speedrunning at this point. And what comes with enchant tables are books, or bookshelves. And what comes with books, paper. And what comes with paper, sugarcane. But I was able to make my first book for the enchant table. Cleared out a little place in my new base for the enchant table. And went exploring. Oh, and then found a village. I went on a rampage for some leather. And on my exploring for leather and sugarcane, I found an igloo. Which will come in handy eventually. Not because I'll actually save them, because they don't deserve it. But they did give me a golden apple and a splash potion of weakness, so I'll take it. I let the villager out, but then left him there. And made full diamond. On day 22. Got all my diamond enchanted. With my newfound speed, I decided to clear out and make my base a little bit more livable. Just more terraforming and collecting. A nice benefit of this was getting enough coal to actually power my eye. And then I decided to terraform and go for a nice little broken dirt bridge across the river. Makes it convenient and makes it look good. Gives me the convenience of being able to go past in a boat, which will come in handy later. Day 22 is coming to an end, and on day 23, I went and started breaking down all of the trees that I planted. And then tried to go to the nether, which did not work, and I wasted a lot of time trying to make it work. Eventually, I gave up, made a flint and steel, and entered the nether for the first time. At this point, I realized that I had never actually found netherite, because I haven't played survival since before netherite was introduced, and decided to go look for it. Didn't nearly die to a hoglin. And started mining my way down. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the bed strat. And found my first piece of netherite, day 24. Now that I felt rich, I had to enchant my hoe. Got to farming. I decided it was time to get a sheep so my bed farming could expand. On to more terraforming. I acquired a sheep and gave it a lovely little pen. I decided to get sheep first so I could constantly farm wool to go bed mining in the nether. Also, sheep are exceptionally good farm animals because not only do they give you wool for beds, which are incredibly useful, but they also give meat now, although it was a pain to get them to stay in the pen. I think I made it way too small to try to get 6 sheep in at once. Eventually though, after enough trying, I managed to make it work, and did some breeding, but not before shearing them. As day 25 came to a close, I harvested my wheat field. Day 26, I decided to expand my pen so I could breed and have more room for my sheep. And then I ventured back into the nether with my new beds, so I could do more nether mining. I think I've been conditioned and told that the new update is much more dangerous than the old updates, so I didn't think diamond armor, even enchanted diamond armor, would be good enough. So I wanted to rush to get netherite armor as quick as possible. And luckily, I did find some. This was a very time-consuming process. Now we're on to day 27. On day 27 though, I returned back to the overworld and got in another PvP fight with skeletons. They seem to be the only mob I battle. Day 28 was more breeding and shearing. And then day 29 I decided to finally take all of the coal ore that I had mined and break it to get the XP, as well as my nether quartz. On day 30 I decided to get more obsidian, and accidentally fell in the lava. I entered the nether and returned to Sender. First try, of course. And I began to terraform from my nether base. I decided to make a little platform here where I could make a base for everything that I needed in the nether. And I also wanted to make it look pretty too. I was worried that making the bridge might be slightly perilous, but it ended up alright. My goal here was kind of to try to make it look like a lounge in a skyscraper where you overlook with big glass windows. Day 31, I decided that I might as well just have my nether portal in my base so I didn't have to travel all the way down to the main ground to go to the nether. And made this look pretty too. More gas killing. When I returned through that nether portal though, it connected to the old one, so I had to break that. The never-ending shearing of sheep continued. I decided that nether brick would probably look the most at home in the nether. And paired with glass, I thought that would work well together. Or nether bridges, because of course. Day 32, I was hoping to make a nether portal to something very far away. And then connect it through my nether highway of sorts. Unluckily, when I went through, it was only water, so I immediately left. I returned home, well, to my nether home, and then continued working on the base. Took a lot longer to make nether brick than I thought it did. But the glass, nether brick, and crimson planks all looked good together. Here I decided to look for a nether fortress to try to make my nether brick gathering go quicker, which worked. I gathered what I thought was enough nether brick and then returned to my base. More breeding of the sheep. More placing nether brick. Day 35, I returned to the mines. I was running low on diamonds and didn't want to have to come back here for a while, so my diamond pickaxe also had nearly broken. On day 36, after finishing mining, I returned to the surface and I decided to finally begin terraforming a bigger section of my land to make room for livestock pens. Ideally, one for cows, chickens, and pigs. Then I did more farming and just decided to clear up the coastline a little bit. Day 39, we returned to the nether. Still desperate for full netherite armor and tools. And luckily, it did not take long before finding ancient debris this time. I really cannot stress enough just how much of this time out of the 100 days was spent looking for netherite. I am basically a bed nether master at this point. And decided to show off my speed bridging while we were here. What comes along with all this nether mining? Tons of shearing sheep. Day 40 was back to the nether. Constant trips to the nether. Day 41, I returned to the surface. With 10 netherite scraps and made some more ingots. Actually, 12 netherite scraps. I disenchanted my helmet and shoes. And then upgraded them to netherite so I could enchant them again. Here I made a trek to the village so I could finally start village trading. Did some MLGs on the way. And this was the first kidnap attempt of a Minecraft villager that I made. On the way I had to dig a path through a mountain. But luckily there was a little waterway in the middle. I made another netherite ingot, this time for my sword. And decided to craft a diamond axe and diamond shovel as well. Day 42, I began construction of my villager trading facility. I only make it out of the highest quality blocks. This is a design that was heavily influenced by the Roman builds, 600 AD. As you can see here, I used an aqueduct. I really tried to use my knowledge from all the history classes I took in 6th grade to really influence this building. Surprisingly enough, I actually didn't have much trouble getting these villagers over to my new building for them. Until one of them fell down. But you know what? He made it up by himself. I didn't even have to, like, close him in or anything. Decided he'd rather be in the amazing build. Now, obviously, for villager breeding, you need a ton of beds. So I just spammed and placed, like, 9. Gave him some food so I could start that villager breeding early. I really just wanted to make an iron golem farm at this point, because there are villagers that trade iron. Oh, almost died. And here's me making that iron golem farm. I followed a tutorial to do this one. I can't claim credit for this, but it is a pretty quick iron farm. It makes really good iron, and it's basically translates into a free supply of emeralds. This did take a couple of days to do. Mostly this was just transitioning some of my villagers that I had breeded at my other base over to the iron golem farm. And I finished it on day 54, and then you can just see some more of the breeding. Now that I had the iron golem farm, I decided that I should start setting up a villager trading base. Unlike my villager breeding base, which was based on the Roman architects, my villager trading base was based on a prison in Arkansas with 1 square meter of space for each villager. And I know you might feel bad, but they deserved it. The simultaneous worst and best part about having Silk Touch on your pickaxe is just needing to break coal ore again. But the best part about that is it's basically just a storing place for experience bottles. Day 56, I began transferring some of my villagers from the villager breeding post to the villager trading post. And I decided that this would not be enough room, and I needed some more stone. The first thing that I decided that I needed would be a mending book, because I really did not want any of my pickaxes or any of my armor to break and have to go mining for more netherite and diamonds, considering I've already spent like 15 days just doing that. My next villager was a iron villager. It is the second trade where you can get iron for emeralds, and with my new iron farm, which is actually doing pretty well at this point, I felt like that was probably a strong place to start. The villager I traditionally have used to get free emeralds has been a Fletcher, just because the stick for emerald trade is so good. And you don't really need any setup, and it's right from the beginning, so it's just some free emeralds. I used those emeralds to then trade with the toolsmith. That way I got to the second tier, in which the toolsmith will trade iron for emeralds for me. As you can see here, it was 3 iron for 1 emerald. And this was it was less than an hour of the iron golem functioning, probably about 15 minutes. And I already had over a stack of iron, which is just free. I went up to the top of my base and cleared out some more of the forest that I had planted just to get more sticks. Then, after interacting with my librarian, I realized that another way of free farming would just be sugarcane. So I went to explore a little, get some sugarcane, hit some sniper shots. The Marines are in contact right now. I replanted a sugarcane farm. And realized that I accidentally made it on an island surrounded by water, which means that the iron golems do not have to spawn in the middle. So then I killed this iron golem, and then I had to do some more terraforming underwater this time, so that they would spawn where I wanted them to. I don't depict it all, but that was a constant battle. When I got back to my librarian on day 60, he had changed and was no longer offering mending. And I had to replace the lectern so many times just to get mending books. I immediately traded with him though, just so he wouldn't transfer again. And I finally felt at a good point. But I wanted to establish dominance over these iron golems, so I had to hit a 360 no scope on them. More trading, this time for cleric, hopefully. The goal here is to get both experience bottle and ender pearl trades from this one villager, so that eventually I could go and defeat the ender dragon and get into the end, which is really the next step for this world, would be elytras and shulker boxes. Day 60 is where I really took a turn and began to focus much more heavily on trading and becoming as rich as humanly possible. Day 61, I realized that Bonsai did not have any grass and was just on stone for a long time, so I decided I should change that. Considering I was rich and had a silk touch pickaxe, I could get him some grass and I just surrounded that with dirt, so he was having a nicer time. Then, after a little exploring, I found some chickens, and I decided that it would be a good time just to start another animal farm. Really, the farm I need was cows, but it was much harder to find them. Day 63 continued my good luck with villagers without any of them escaping. And as you can see, I was really starting to grow up. Now, day 64, I had 5 cows and a sheep, and I was bringing them back to my base. I lost the sheep, though, only 4 cows. And I got my 4 cows into my cow pen, which is really good, so I could start farming leather just to make some books and enchant, and hopefully get some better enchants, which I can combine. Then I had to clear up some of the sheep, because they were starting to lag my world, and I wanted to get some carpets just to place so I could jump up without having to deal with all of that. I bred my 4 calves and then left for the day. Day 65, I decided I needed an XP farm, and considering there was a skeleton spawner not 500 blocks from my base, I just ran over there and began the transformation. The transformation was fairly simple, and since it was already halfway up a mountain, it was actually very convenient The drop in the middle leads down to almost exactly where you'd want it to be, down at the bottom, where you can just walk in from ground level without having to go down or anything. So it was a very convenient place. Tried to make it look a little bit more natural, but just left mossy cobblestone to mark it for me if I ever needed to get back in to perform some maintenance. This is the drop that I was talking about. And when I got far enough, I decided to mine out a little space. And this would be my slaughter room. And as you can see, this is right down low on ground level, super easy to get into for my base. And this would be where I sat to kill them. But before that, I had to place water buckets in each corner so the skeletons would form a nice orderly line and just fall right into my hole of death. You got a kerfuffle there. The real reason I did this was because with the mending, if you have an XP farm, you basically have unlimited durability on all of your tools. But here's a nice little time lapse of all the skeletons I killed, and Larry up there, not having a care in the world. Day 67, I returned to my iron golem farm. As you can see, it's about 4 stacks of iron, which is pretty good, especially this early into a world. Day 68, I returned to the mines and continued my streak of destroying the diamond mines, the diamond economy. Especially with a fortune pickaxe now, everything came even quicker. Super easy to find diamonds in these updates. There's no longer any need to strip mine at all, really. Personally, I just decide to run around these caves and caverns until I find like 40 diamonds. I mean, honestly, I feel like if I just spawned in and immediately ran down into the caves, I could walk out with full diamond armor at this point. It is so easy. Day 69, nice. We returned to the surface, and I decided to do some organizing with everything that I had just acquired. As you can see, I got 33 diamonds, now bringing my total up to 34. And then did some more trading. I still don't have mending on every single piece of my armor, which is ideally the goal. And my diamond, I still have some diamond tools. I'm not full netherite yet, so I decided to go back into the nether to try to get even more rich, especially with all the investment I had done into sheep farming. I might as well use it. And luckily, day 69 came with 3 ancient debris, which I believe is the biggest ore of ancient debris I have ever seen. I really only want to show you guys the beds that actually resulted in ancient debris because I was down there for a long time and I'm just constantly down there, and I figured that would probably get pretty boring for you guys. But day 70 we're back to trading, as will be constant. And then we did some more breeding. We were now up to 6 cows, and they were going pretty well. Somehow one of my sheep turned brown. I have no idea how that happened. Lots of breeding and lots of farming on day 70. Although I was finally able to upgrade my last diamond tools, my diamond pickaxe and my diamond shovel. And just to repair my tools, went back to the skeleton farm for a little bit. I decided to finally make the overworld a little prettier. And I wanted obsidian, so I gathered the rest of the obsidian from my local lava pool. And cleaned up the nether portal. The broken one. My first nether portal. Got a second map, just so I could map out more of my base, and did some more cow breeding. Day 73, I continued my quest of making a nether highway and linking portals. I also decided to battle some wither skeletons because I figured might as well get some wither skulls. But unluckily I did not find any. I did, however, manage to grab some nether wart and soul sand. So I could start my own little farm. In this nether portal, I actually did land on land, unlike the last time, and I found villagers immediately, which was extremely convenient. And the goal of this expedition was to find bamboo, which was luckily not that long. I think I was searching for about 20 to 30 minutes before I found it. And then I also got a dog, as you can see. Didn't want him to die though, so I had to bring him around. And then I lit myself another nether portal and entered back through it. Obviously the best part of nether travel is every block in the nether is equal to 8 blocks in the overworld, so it's much quicker to travel very long distances. And because of that, I want to make a nether highway. So that's what you can see I'm doing right now. And ideally I want it to be as straight as possible for some type of faster travel in the future, whether that's ice boating, minecarts, something that'll be quicker, and just make it so I can get between that jungle and my home base as early as possible. Stupidly, I actually did not remember to write down the nether coordinates of my home base, so instead I wrote down, I used a converter to convert my nether coordinates to convert my home base coordinates of something near my home base, the skeleton spawner, to nether coordinates. I used an online converter, and that got me here, which was actually pretty close to my house. And after a little bit of traveling and parkour, I was able to find the skeleton spawner, and then I knew I was home. I also used netherrack so I could trace a path back to where that portal was, so I could connect them in the future. Day 75, I returned to the villager trading, which is basically my life now. But I didn't want them getting too used to sunlight, so I blocked them back in quickly. You can see basically my entire day 75 process of killing skeletons just to farm up my pickaxe's health, because I don't want to have to deal with making more netherite tools. This noise is just so satisfying. It's music to my ears. A nice benefit of it being a skeleton spawner is I have unlimited arrows effectively, and considering my bow does not yet have infinity on it, it's very useful. Day 76, I realized that bookshelves actually break and turn into books, which is very convenient. Now you can see the grand plan behind my bamboo expedition. And here are all the tools that I need to get the job done. I am making an automatic bamboo farm. I also followed a tutorial for this. I'm not good at redstone. But as you can see, I wanted to just be able to become as rich as possible with an automatic bamboo and automatic iron farm, which, if you don't know, when you combine two pieces of bamboo together, it turns into one stick, which is not that good, considering breaking down a tree gives you at least 32 sticks. But with how fast bamboo grows, and considering you do not need to actually do anything, it's just passive bamboo income, it really adds up after a while. I did not really think about where it was, I just decided to place it down. I will probably end up moving this at some point and making an entire different base for automatic farms. That way I can just AFK there and not have to split up my time. Although some automatic farms are specific to the nether, whichever, but just trying to make it more efficient and also trying not to lag my home base too much. This is actually the first time I had ever made use of observers, and they are really powerful. You actually will be able to see some of my bamboo is growing just as I stood here. I did a quick test just to make sure that the bamboo farm would actually work, and I wouldn't have to break the glass and go back in. And once I started my minecart on day 78, the bamboo farm was complete. My farm was kind of getting overrun with sheep again, but the lag had not returned, so I was not worried about it. Day 78, I decided that the best thing to do right then would be to AFK, just to let my iron golem farm and bamboo farm stockpile, and I returned on day 87 after doing a business statistics class. And this is what I came back to. Sadly, I made a grave mistake and did not block in my villagers. So without even realizing this is a possibility, my cleric and my toolsmith both got transformed into zombie villagers. And sadly, I did not have a splash potion of weakness or golden apples, so that was the first thing I needed to do. You may be thinking, oh, it's just golden apples. You have tons of gold and you have apples, presumably. I mean, you cut down trees to get them. But that is not the hard part. The hard part is getting a splash potion of weakness. And I don't know if you know what you need for a splash potion of weakness, but you need a fermented spider eye, sugar, or not, well, you need a fermented spider eye. And to get a fermented spider eye, you need sugar, a spider eye, which are both super easy to get. You just kill a spider and you just got some sugarcane. Super easy to get. The hard part is getting gray mushroom. Because for some reason in my world, they do not spawn. I spent so long looking for them that I eventually just decided the fastest thing to do would be to find a dark oak forest. Because I know the giant brown mushrooms spawn there. So this is the adventure that you're seeing me go on right now. I even checked all of this desert village to see if any of the villagers would trade me brown mushrooms, but they didn't. I went all around the world. I think I traveled through like every single biome, as you can see from this little travel montage. I found not one, but 2 jungles. And I did some third-person parkour, which is surprisingly a lot harder than first-person parkour. And it was on day 91 when I finally found a dark oak forest. But the first mushroom I found was not the right type. I did find brown mushrooms though, so it was not all for naught. The adventure was worth it. As you can see here, I made sure to get the entirety of the brown mushroom. And then luckily I found a lava portal very close. And luckily, I found a lava pond very close and was able to make another nether portal out of that. And using that nether portal, I traveled through the nether and made another part of my nether highway. See that construction? This time I used different coordinates, which were closer to my actual base. Still not my actual base coordinates or the nether coordinates of my actual base, but closer to my actual base. I believe these coordinates were the Iron Golem farm coordinates. And I wanted to make sure I didn't lose the path over time. So I tried to make it as obvious as possible. But my pickaxe almost broke, so I had to make some pit stops to get some quartz. But on day 93, I realized I had found it, and as you can see, I was quite excited by that. And wanted to make sure that I could also see where this was for my base. Even though dark oak planks is not the prettiest block in the nether, I figured it would work for the time being. This was also the time when I was starting to get close to 100 days, and I felt like I was almost there. And I really did not want to die at this point and have to completely remake this video. As soon as I finished my splash potions of weakness, I realized that I had a splash potion of weakness in my chest from the igloo I found earlier, and I was so unbelievably frustrated at that point. So I just spent like 6 days looking for a brown mushroom. Day 94 was back to the skeleton spawner. You will probably see this happen a lot, at least until I'm able to get an Enderman farm. I'm just gonna let you enjoy this. Somehow another one of the iron golems did not fall in the trap, and I was getting very frustrated, so I took my anger out on him. Not even close. This is also when my villagers finally transformed back, and they were very grateful that I saved their lives. A 1 iron for emerald trade was just so good. I could not pass it up. More farming. Day 95 was the first time I actually attempted to kill any of my cows. And continued to breed my villagers. I wanted to try to fill up my villager trading outlet faster so I could trade more iron without having to refresh it, but day 97 I realized that I wanted something for the thumbnail and didn't want to have to cheat for that. So I originally thought that I'd just try to make my base look kind of cool, and the easiest way to do that, at least in my opinion, is just to plant a ton of wheat. It looks really good in fields and fills up places really well. So I got on with that into day 98, and day 99 was all spent farming. It is a funny way to end 100 days in hardcore survival, but I think it looks good. Day 99, though, I realized that I was not nearly close enough, and decided that I should just go the way everyone goes, because that probably works, and just put a bunch of valuables behind me and make myself look rich. This is the final night I sleep in the 100 days challenge. And just like that, we woke up on day 100. I finished my wall and got some thumbnail photos. And then on day 100, here is the final sunset. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe. Please comment down below. I really appreciate all the support. And peace out. Bye.
And watch me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.